Have you ever noticed that the most magnetic men in any room are not usually the loudest ones? They are not the guys dominating every conversation or desperately trying to prove how interesting they are. I learned this lesson the hard way at a party 2 years ago when I was in full performance mode, telling stories and cracking jokes while trying to impress this woman I had just met. Meanwhile, there was this other guy who barely said 10 words the entire night, and yet he was the one she left with. That night completely changed everything I thought I knew about attraction, because I realized the most attractive men operate on a completely different frequency. They have mastered something most guys never figure out, which is the art of magnetic presence without verbal desperation. And today I am revealing exactly what they do instead of talking constantly. These are not pickup tricks or psychological games, but rather subtle behaviors that create genuine attraction and lasting influence. So if you are ready to discover why less talking often equals more attraction, then let us dive in deeply. First, they master the art of strategic silence. While most men fill every pause with meaningless words, truly attractive men understand that silence is one of the most powerful tools in human interaction. They know when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Think about the last time you were in a group conversation and ask yourself who commanded the most respect. Usually, it is the person who spoke less but made every word count. When they finally shared their thoughts, everyone listened because their words had already proven to carry value. I started experimenting with this after reading how Steve Jobs conducted meetings, because he would often sit quietly for long periods, observing and processing. Then when he finally spoke, the entire room went silent because people knew he had been calculating something important. Strategic silence works in dating for several reasons. First, it creates mystery, since you are not constantly revealing all of your thoughts and experiences, and this naturally makes people curious about what is going on in your head. Women especially want to know more about the man who does not feel the need to broadcast everything. Second, it demonstrates confidence, because a man who is comfortable with silence is a man who is comfortable with himself and does not need validation through non-stop chatter. Third, it shifts the dynamic, because instead of you entertaining her, she begins to work to engage you by asking questions and trying to draw you out, which makes your attention feel earned rather than freely given. Second, they become masters of physical presence, because instead of relying only on words to command attention, they use body language, which is far more primal and persuasive. This goes beyond basic advice like stand tall or keep eye contact. It is about occupying space with intention and moving through the world with purpose. When such men enter a room, you feel their energy even before hearing their voice. I noticed this from my friend David, who is incredibly successful with women, despite being relatively quiet. He moves in a deliberate way that is never rushed. When he sits, he takes his time and fully settles in. When he stands, his movements are fluid and confident. Every gesture seems intentional. This physical presence shows itself in several ways. First is spatial awareness, which means understanding how to position yourself in relation to others so that you do not invade personal space aggressively, but also do not shrink away either. Second is posture and bearing, which is not the rigid military style that feels fake, but a natural alignment suggesting calm strength. Shoulders back yet relaxed, spine straight but not tense. Head level and eyes forward. Third, they listen with laser-focused intensity. While most men are only waiting for their turn to speak, attractive men turn listening into an art form that creates a much deeper connection than any clever story or witty joke. They understand that making someone feel truly heard is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. This is not passive politeness, but active, engaged listening that makes the other person feel like they are the only one in the universe at that moment. I discovered this by accident during a dinner date when my phone died, and I gave my complete undivided attention for the first time in months. The shift in her energy was immediate as she became more open and more animated. Later, she even told me she had never felt so heard on a first date. Laser listening involves complete attention with no distractions. Emotional attunement, where you pick up on feelings beneath the words. And strategic follow-up, where you dig deeper into what they have shared instead of rushing to change the subject. This skill not only makes people feel valued and understood, but also gives you valuable knowledge about what excites or concerns them, allowing you to connect on a deeper level and stand out in a world where everyone else seems distracted. Fourth, they communicate through deliberate action, because instead of just talking about what they are going to do, the most attractive men let their consistent actions speak for them. People trust what you do far more than what you say. I saw this in my mentor, who never talked about being successful or reliable, yet he simply lived it. If someone needed help, he offered it. If he made a promise, he kept it. His character was shown through choices, not claims. In dating, this means showing interest through actions like remembering details and following through on plans. It means working on your goals quietly rather than boasting. And it means living your values rather than preaching them. This approach is powerful because it builds real trust and respect over time. Anyone can say they are reliable, but only reliable people prove it by showing up. Anyone can say they are confident, but only confident men act decisively without begging for approval. Fifth, they ask questions that reveal character. Instead of trying to impress by talking about themselves, they show sophisticated curiosity that goes beyond small talk. They do not interrogate, but they ask questions that reveal values and passions. While most men stick to generic topics, attractive men ask questions like, what is the most meaningful project you have worked on recently? Or what is something about your hometown most people would never know? These questions require thought and uncover depth. I learned this from a woman who told me about a man she called magnetic, because although he barely talked about himself, by the end of the date he knew more about her than friends she had known for years, and this made her want to know everything about him. By asking such questions, you show genuine interest in the real person, which is extremely attractive because it suggests you would also be an engaged and caring partner. If this message changed how you think about attraction and communication, then commit to applying these principles in your own life. Practice strategic silence. Strengthen your physical presence. Listen with intensity. Communicate through consistent action and ask deeper questions. Let me know which principle surprised you most and share your experiences trying these approaches, because I want to hear how they work in your world. Remember, true attraction is never built on loud words or desperate performance, but on quiet strength, steady presence, and genuine human connection.